Albert Einstein once said that you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created it. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to finally get unstuck and move forward on whatever you've been feeling stuck on. Hey everyone, I'm Alex, and in this video, we are going to be talking about getting unstuck. And when you feel like you've been working on the same problem forever, it can really start to feel like you're just going in circles.
Because we've been here before. We're going in circles.
So maybe you're constantly trying new things and putting in more effort towards this problem in an attempt to solve it, but you keep ending up at the same place, and it feels kind of like you keep landing on the go to jail spot in Monopoly, and you don't get to pass go, you don't get to move forward, and you don't get to collect your $200, or you don't get to finally achieve your goal. And you feel like no matter what you do, you just feel stuck in jail. So let's talk about how to finally get out of this annoying cycle. So very quickly, before I share the solution with you, I want to frame up this conversation. So the perspective that I'm speaking from and my own experience with this is trying to find a new career path and find purpose in life and become financially stable in that new career path. And so this was an area that I felt stuck for quite a long time, and I'm hoping that through sharing my experience, you can find some parallels to the area that you're feeling stuck in as well. So here's the solution that I finally came up with, and that was to surrender. And before you dismiss this as not being a real solution, do you remember that quote that I shared earlier by Albert Einstein? He said, "You cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created it." So if you've been trying to accomplish something for, say, months or even years, like I was, then maybe can you be open to the idea that you need a new approach, a new perspective, and a new mind in order to solve this problem? And that's what surrender can do for you. It's the space in which a new mind is created. And the clear signs for me that it was time to take a step back and surrender to not having the solution at that time were the following. I had been working on this problem for what felt like forever, and I was making what seemed like very little progress. And I was feeling a lot of resistance, both external and internal. So externally, I wasn't getting the traction or making the money that I desired to make. And internally, I wasn't really enjoying things. I didn't feel like I was in the flow. So I felt like there was just a lot of resistance in general. And if you're not quite convinced yet, let me share my experience with you and a little backstory about how this all came about. So I've been in that stuck place. I was stuck in a cycle for years. I was ready to quit my corporate job and find my next career path and start living a life that felt in alignment with my purpose. And my goal was to figure out my next steps. But I felt like I kept trying new things and I had new ideas, but none of them really felt right and none of them really got any traction. And I just ended up back at this place every time of feeling like I didn't know what to do next. And I was stuck in this loop of trying new things, but never really reaching my goal of feeling like clarity or feeling like I was in alignment with my purpose. And I was kept in that loop, I think, by the stress around money. I was ready to quit my corporate job, and when I finally did quit my corporate job, I still didn't quite have things figured out, and I felt a lot of pressure to figure them out quickly because of money, and my savings would only take me so far. And I also felt a lot of pressure because I had been working on this problem for so long that I thought I should have had it figured out by now. And so I was imposing a lot of pressure on myself, and I had this self-imposed time crunch, and all of this just really narrowed my perspective on what I could see to be my options. And so that really narrow perspective really just had me like on a one-track focus, and I really had a very tight vision of what I thought I should be doing in order to reach my goals, and I didn't really leave myself open to other possibilities. And it was only when I finally got really fed up with feeling stuck and going in circles and not making the progress that I was wanting that I decided to, try a new approach and just surrender to the situation. Because at the time, clearly I wasn't able to think my way out of this situation, and I really just needed to take a step back and gain some perspective and sort of let the universe flow through me at that time as well. And taking a step back is definitely scary because you have thoughts around like, well, what if I take all this time off from the problem and I come back to it and I still don't have a solution? Then I've just wasted all that time. And at this point, I just had to take a leap of faith and trust, and I sort of intuitively knew that this was the right step and the next thing that I had to do. So for me, surrender looked like a temporary pause on trying to solve this problem. And it meant accepting that I may need to scrap everything and completely start fresh. I was open to that possibility. It also meant accepting that I could be and have been trying to go down the wrong track. It meant surrendering to the unknown. Like maybe my whole goal is not even what I'm supposed to be working towards. And that's why I'm facing so much resistance. And I also had to surrender completely to the process and just accept that maybe the way to get to my goal is not the way that I had thought of in the beginning. And I also want to make it clear here that this is not giving up, and this is not, giving up on your dreams or just admitting defeat and kind of rolling over and giving up on everything that you want. This is just taking a time out and a breather to step back and clear your head and really start to get some perspective on the situation. So let's talk about what surrender looks like and how I surrendered during this temporary period in which I was stepping back from the problem. And so the first step is to stop working on the problem. You have to stop all work related to the area that you're trying to surrender. You have to stop trying to be productive towards it, which meant completely, I stopped planning for video content. I took a step back from social media and I just sort of let everything go so that I could clear my head. And it also meant that I stopped looking outwardly for solutions. So I stopped Googling, I stopped watching YouTube, and I stopped listening to podcasts, like anything related to trying to find what my next steps could be. I stopped listening to those things. And I just really got quiet and just completely turned my brain off from this problem. And I also let go of all my ideas about how I thought things had to happen. And I let go of worrying temporarily about like how I was going to make more money. And I really wanted to be open to the possibilities and kind of let go of everything entirely and be open to the fact that maybe my whole goal is wrong. Like maybe the career path I was pursuing at the time is just not the right path for me. And I just really came to a place where I was accepting the unknown, and I was accepting that like, okay, I'm going to be open. It can be anything. It doesn't need to be, life coaching, which is what I had been working on previously. And the last part is really getting comfortable with sitting in the unknown and sitting in that uncertainty and accepting that you are in this place right now and you don't need to force things to come to an end, which is what I really was doing previously. I wasn't allowing myself to just sit with the unknown and have that be where I was. And so it's really just becoming friends with that discomfort and being okay being in the unknown for that period of time. And it's really just allowing the surrender phase to run its course, because there will come a time when your brain sort of naturally will pick it back up and you'll start to have new perspective and new ideas and new thoughts on the subject. But that can only happen if you've completely stepped away and stopped trying to force yourself to think about it. And I want to be clear that this time wasn't me completely dismissing, my goals and my ideas. I was still open to the fact that maybe life coaching is the path for me, but I was also open to the fact that maybe it isn't. And so I wasn't forcing it to be one way or another. I was just letting it be whatever it will be. So let's talk about the benefits of taking a little break from whatever problem you're working on. So the first huge benefit is that you kind of stop that mental turmoil, that mental spinning of your wheels, and you get a break from all that stress that you feel from spinning your wheels. You also do gain a lot of clarity and perspective, and you With time, you'll be able to see your situation with like a whole new perspective and see it for what it really is. You can see where you've been forcing things to happen. You can see where you haven't really been enjoying some of the things that you've been doing. You can see what has been working and what hasn't been working, and you can come back with a fresh perspective. And this is also a great time to just work on your own personal development or focus back on things that are fun, because if you have a big problem in your life, like trying to figure out your next career path, it can feel all consuming. And it definitely takes away from your ability to have fun in life. You sort of feel like, I can't have fun until I figure out what I'm doing with my life and my business and my career. And I need to be stable and responsible and have those things figured out. So I can't be having fun. And so one of the benefits of taking a little break and surrendering to the problem is that you're not Googling or thinking about how to solve the problem anymore. So now you can listen to podcasts for fun. You can read a book for fun. You can just do things that brought you joy in the past. And that really helps you clear your head as well. And so the outcome from this period of surrender is really a new perspective. And if you truly step back and just submit to the process, you should over time gain clarity and perspective and be able to start to see the forest for the trees, as they say. So you may realize that you need a new goal, or you may realize you were trying to force things to go a very specific way. Or you may realize that you need to go back to the throwing spaghetti at the wall phase and just start fresh. Or maybe you're ready to reclaim your goal again, but with a new vigor and new energy and a completely new approach that you've now gained perspective on. All right, everyone, I hope this video has helped, and I hope that you're able to find some parallels between whatever you've been working on. If you've been spinning your wheels a lot, try to step back and surrender. Maybe tell yourself that you'll take 2 weeks off and see how that goes. Maybe it'll end up being longer. For me, it was probably around 2 months, but start with 2 weeks, completely turn your brain off from the problem and see how it goes. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel if you like this type of content. And with that, I will see you next week.